Yo, what is going on today, guys? Back here for another video. It is finally time to talk about the rare candy, going to be the new game-changing card from the new set. So I have this tier list open of every single stage 2 Pokemon currently in the game, and I basically just wanted to rank them. So how this tier list is, I might add some sections depending on how the list goes, but we have like the biggest winners, obviously the cards that get the biggest buff. We have just like strongest cards that are just like pretty solid now. Like they're definitely good, they're just not the top of the top. Possible sleeper cards that I could see that like might not be like super strong or anything crazy, or like people might not be too optimistic about them, but I feel like they could possibly shake themselves into like maybe like a low tier slash like roguish spot in the meta. Then we have just like cards that are better because of our candy, but like still are not like super strong, so they probably won't be meta relevant, but like they could be maybe, or like you might see them in like the low tier decks, kind of like what I was talking about for like the tier above. Then we just have like cards that are like too high of energy. So like rare candy is not the biggest buff for them, but like it's still a consistency buff at the end of the day. So I have that category, and then I just have cards that are like still pretty bad. Like even with the rare candy, you're probably not going to be playing these cards. Like I'm just going to be realistic. So yeah, that's all the categories. So just to put some of the biggest winners right away, I basically just want to talk about a few cards. After I put like a couple of them in the biggest winners, I'm going to just go in order from like the tier list, like how they have it. But I think one of the biggest winners, bro, right away, it is going to be Beedrill, and I'll just pair them together because they're both grass types, plus like, you know, they were played in the same deck. So I think Meowscarada and Beedrill are probably some of the biggest winners. So the reason for this is, one, they're stage 2 Pokemon that are extremely strong, and they're only 2 energy. Most of the time for stage 2s, like at least like in the beginning of the game, a lot of stage 2s were high energy. So like even if they're rare candy, like you could evolve them faster, but like you aren't going to be able to attack. Where like something like Meowscarada or Beedrill, if you go second, have the rare candy and the final evolution in your hand, you're going to like start threatening either obviously like the 80 damage and the energy discard off Beedrill, or if your opponent's playing one of those basic EX decks or just have an EX in the active spot, Meowscarada is going to start doing 130 damage by turn 2. And just that thought is incredible. Obviously you have to have a lot of things to go right. You have to have the basic, like the right basic Pokemon, then you have to have the rare candy and the final evolution. But because of Spiggaritzo, if you already have the rare candy, and because you don't really need to play the stage 1 versions anymore of like Florgato or Kakuna, you could either just play one copy of those or just not play any, use Spiggaritzo and actually search the final evolutions and just get them way more consistently. So that's why I think some of these cards are going to be super strong, especially Beedrill, bruh. Beedrill, if Beedrill actually is meta, there is a possibility we just go back into a meta with something maybe like possibly Druddigon. Obviously Druddigon will get 2-tapped by Beedrill, but the reason for that is like, because obviously Druddigon, you never really set up energy on it anyways, and if Beedrill is meta relevant, you're going to be discarding an energy, which means your opponent can't really ever set up the active spot, because you possibly take the chance of your opponent just having the rare candy Beedrill combo, and if they do go second, bro, they get that right away, bro, you actually just might be cooked. Yeah, so, and then obviously Meowscarada. The thing about Meowscarada is it's definitely a big winner. The problem with Meowscarada is right now we're in a Giratina Darkrai dominated format, and we just have like a lot of decks that are just basic EX Pokemon, such as like Mewtwo, Giratina. We have like the Moltres start from obviously Charizard. But like if the meta does switch into being a lot of stage 2 Pokemon, and like the decks don't really run like a basic EX, Meowscarada possibly could go down a slot. Only because you're only going to be doing 60 damage, which is still a lot for 2 energy, bro, especially if you do go on your second turn. But the thing about that, obviously, if everyone is playing the stage 2 decks, you're not going to be attacking these EX Pokemon till later. So while I still think Meowscarada is strong, it might not be like a super strong start card. It might be one of those cards you're super strong in the late game, obviously once the stage 2 Pokemon is out, because obviously Meowscarada is a non-EX, red doesn't work on it. Some of these basic EXs that are going to be good with the rare candy actually cannot one-shot it. So out of these two, I think Beedrill is the like best aggressive one, and then depending on what the meta is, Meowscarada just might be like a later option for the rare candy. Now I'm just going to order, to be honest. So we have the basic non-EX Venusaur. It's really never seen play. It's just honestly, it's just garbage. 80 damage is not a lot for 4 energy. I think it only has like 160 HP compared to the one on Neon Venusaur. That's just not good. I mean, you're gonna get one shot by a lot of things. Like I guess you're a non-EX, so you can't get redded, but like you're only doing 80 damage. You might live with 1 hit, and you're just gonna get hit by 2. So there's really just no point of playing it. There's like a lot of things that can just do 80 damage that you'd rather be playing. We have this Venusaur EX, which obviously same situation. The benefit of Venusaur EX is one, it can attack for 3, and it does do 100 damage and has 190 HP. There's a possibility Venusaur can live 2 hits, especially depending on what the meta actually is too. With the introduction of Lily and obviously the giant cape and like stuff like potions, possibility Venusaur might not be taking a lot of damage, because like let's say theoretically, bro, let's say the meta does switch into being like these like fast stage 2 Pokemon such as Beedrill. Beedrill's only really doing 80 damage, so like Venusaur can take a couple hits, especially with the introduction to Lily. It's definitely still high energy, but the benefit of like Venusaur EX, obviously, you know, you could do the same with the non-EX Venusaur, but just not worth it because it's not that good. But you do have access to Leafeon, so what you can do with Venusaur EX, you could play no Ivysaurs, play a Pokecom, and then you only have 8 Pokemon. So you obviously the 2 Eevees, the 2 Leafeons, the 2 Bulbasaurs, and then the 2 Venusaurs. Obviously, might be inconsistent to get those rare candies. You will have those games where the rare candies might just be on the bottom of your deck. But by not playing any Venusaurs or even Ivysaurs, or you could just play like one Ivysaur, but it will make Pokecom a higher chance of getting that Leafeon, which you do need to obviously just go in the offensive right away and also charge up the Venusaur. I don't think it's going to be anything crazy. I just think it does definitely make Venusaur EX a little bit stronger for someone who has been playing the deck since the beginning of the game. I'm going to make another category real quick, I guess. Like honestly, at a row above, and I'm just going to do like bad utility cards. I guess I could just still put them in pretty bad, but like we have like stuff like Butterfree. Like I personally don't think Butterfree is gonna be anything good, because like you really want to be using 6 slots like for like 2 Caterpies, 2 rare candies, and then a Butterfree, and then using a rare candy on Butterfree. I feel like if you really wanted the 20 healing from a Poke card, you could just use the Wigglytuff that heals the active for 20. Like obviously Butterfree does everybody, but like I just don't see it being worth it. Like it definitely is still an option and it could be pretty solid, but like kind of like the same thing I was talking about like Venusaur, bro. Like yeah, the healing is nice, like I guess like Dark Route shit, but like most meta things are just gonna one-shot you anyways. Maybe not in this meta, but like if they're not one-shotting you, they're probably two-shotting you. So like I just don't think the 20 from Butterfree is like too impactful. Maybe if like Butterfree had like 2 energy, so it can like heal and go on the offensive, it could be like maybe like beta, it could be like 1 slot above, but like it's through energy, bro. You're never really going to be attacking with this thing anyways. Yeah, I don't think the ability is the most important. Next up we just have the regular Beedrill, and I'll give it to her, bro. I mean, 1 energy for 70 damage, bro. Like if you do go first, 70 damage right away is pretty nice, I won't lie. It could also be like possible sleeper, I guess, because you know like 70 damage is pretty strong. But like I just don't know if people are gonna be I guess like you could like play like 2 Beedrill EXs and like 1 Beedrill, bro. Like if you get the rare candy, that means you have like 3 options for the rare candy target. So like actually the more I'm thinking about this, like but then again, like the thing about I said about Beedrill, like people could theoretically just like not like put something in the aggro spot basically as just a sacrifice, and then like you maybe go in the offensive Beedrill, attack something twice, knock it out, but then something might come in and knock you out. So I'm not too sure, but like I think it's pretty strong, bro. I think it's pretty strong. I mean, 1 energy for 70, 120 HP, I believe that is. 1 retreat cost is, you know, pretty solid, bro. Like I almost want to move it up 1, bro. I almost want to move it up 1. Low key, I'm gonna move it up 1, bro. I kind of feel like the potential is there now. I kind of didn't like think about this card. I don't know, dude. Just 1 energy for 70 just sounds pretty good, dude. It's like kind of like Executor, like landing the head flip. Obviously you're not landing doing the 80, which does actually one shot like a lot of things. I mean the 70 is just pretty good though, bro. But next up we have Vileplume, and I'm just gonna put Vileplume bad. 3 energy, bro. It's just too much for the rare candy, and plus, you know, it's like it's not even that good. 80 damage. I played around a Vileplume, bro, a lot early just because, you know, it was a fun grass card. But sleep is not the best, especially with Nurse Joy being in the meta. I think Confuse is just better, like Miss Maggie or something like that. 140 HP, it's all right, but like it's a stage 2. Like the main thing is just 3 energy and then 3 retreat cost. Like this thing is just like kind of like not doing anything with rare candy. So next up we have Victory Bell. So the thing about Victory Bell, bro, is it all depends on what the meta is. Like I think Victory Bell is a possible sleeper. This also might be a little bit of cope, but so the good thing about Victory Bell compared to like something like Butterfree is, like I said, 2 energy, so it does do 60 damage, and you can't actually attack with it, bro. So if you go second, that is just 60 damage right away, and you have the ability to bring in a basic Pokemon. So if everybody is just playing stage 2s, and they don't find the rare candy, they don't evolve their Pokemon, you can bring it in and do 60 damage. And I mean, 60 damage does one-shot a lot of basic Pokemon, such as like the Spiriritos, the Weedles. I'm trying to think of other stuff, but you know, basically stuff like that. The Magikarps, if Gyarados is still played, hope it is not, but we'll find out. But also, and the thing about Victory Ball is, like, let's say Giratina Darkrai is still the best deck, definitely really strong against that. Like, if you bring in the Darkrai, dude, two-shot it. Obviously, you know, they might have like potions or something, but I just feel like it could be definitely pretty decent. Obviously, you are then restricted to playing grass types, because I feel like you probably would want to attack with that because you know it is 2 energy, and if you do go second, so like I guess you'd have to play something like Executor, or like I'm not really too sure what you would play it with. I think the thing that limits it definitely is because you would want to play it with grass, and also it kind of like depends on the meta, because like it could be useless. Like if you're putting against rare candy right away, like it would be useless, but I feel like its ability is pretty strong, dude. So strong ability if your opponent doesn't evolve, or they're just playing a basic EX deck, and being able to attack for 60, bro, honestly it's pretty nice. We have the Charizards. I mean, I'm just gonna put the Charizard in the air. Like, I don't think people are gonna play this over the EX one, but like people were playing it back in the day, like 2 Charizard EX copies and 1 Charizard, so they could do the same thing now, bro, to be honest. But I mean, 150 damage. And also, I know I have the high energy here, but like the thing about like Charizard, you don't care about fighting it right away, you just want it out, because you just want it when you want it. So by having a rare candy, you just increase the consistency of Charizard, a deck that does not care about what your opponent is doing. Biggest winner is Charizard EX, bro. High energy still. Obviously, you need Moltres, but the thing about this is the deck is just way more consistent. You could play like 1 Charmeleon, so your Pokecoms are better to find the Charizards. So you could have 2 rare candies, 1 Charmeleon, so that's 3 copies of Charmeleon. And if you really wanted to, you could play like 3 copies of Charizard with the 2 EXs and the 1 basic. Obviously, the basic only does 150, doesn't really one-shot everything guaranteed. But I mean, we've definitely seen it be meta before, bro. And I'm not saying it's not. I don't think people will run it just because they probably want that slot for like the Ionos and like the other like support cards. But like just playing 3 copies of Charmeleon just sounds really strong, dude, for the deck. And I'm expecting this deck to be super meta. The good thing is we have Mew EX to counter Charizard, so there's a chance Mew might be slotted into a lot of decks again, like in Mythical Island for both Mewtwo and Charizard, and it might make Charizard not like the most represented deck, and I would not be opposed to that. So next up we have non-EX Blastoise. No one's really played it. Next up we have Blastoise EX. So I actually have like a very high opinion on Blastoise EX. I think it actually is pretty strong. Yeah, you need 5 energy, but the thing about Blastoise, dude, if you go second, Blastoise attacks for 2 energy for 40, and then obviously next turn for 3 he attacks for 100. Even without the 5, he still does 100. So if you go second, you attack for 40. Then the next turn you could attack for 100 and possibly, so that's 140. But then if you have a red or something like a Geo, you could do 150 to 160 damage by like your second, obviously, well, it would be your 3rd turn. But then if you have something like a Geo or a Sabrina, you can attack twice of Blastoise and do like 150 or like 160 damage just with that combination. So I actually feel like Blastoise is like a pretty solid pick for the rare candy. Obviously, like the best thing about Blastoise is getting a setup for 5 energy and then attacking, because like you will like one-shot almost like most things in the game, especially with the addition of red, but like still being able to do 160 damage, bro, like just by attacking twice before you fully set up red, I feel like it's just super strong still. So I feel like Blastoise like is better. Like I feel like it's also like the same thing with Charizard. The consistency just gets better. Obviously, you know, there's access to Misty and Manaphy as well. You could do maybe like Dawn early plays or something, and then being able to attack like faster, but even like the 100 faster, so that is something. I just feel like Blastoise, I mean, it has already became like a low tier deck, like a very niche anti-meta deck, especially like the last week and a half of ranked. So I don't really see it going away. Like I think it only gets like better if the rare candy. Obviously it's not anything crazy, but I just think the addition, like the ability to attack with like 2 and 3 energy, bro, before you get the 5 is still pretty solid. Next up we have Parwell. The ability is trash, but I just played Druddigon and then it's 3 energy. Maybe if it was 2, I would say I mean it would still be bad, but it would be better. Then we have Omastar. So I think it's better. Obviously it's a fossil at the end of the day, and I don't think it's really good because it is 3 energy, similar to like all these other cards that have 3 down here. But the thing about Omane is like it's very obnoxious, and you know it is water, has the access to Misty. Like I guess like these two also, but like Omastar is just annoying. You know your opponent can't really attack. So I'll give it that. Like simply, I'm just gonna give it that because it's like a very obnoxious card sometimes. Next up we have Greninja. So I just think Greninja, bro, is a very strong card. I don't think it's one of the biggest winners because I don't think it's gonna be played in every deck, but like, dude, going first, rare candy Greninja and doing 20 pings is pretty solid. Like, it's pretty solid. Like, you can't start like chipping these basic Pokemon if they do, like if your opponent does brick, doesn't find the rare candies or the evolutions. And I mean, we've already seen how impactful stuff like Red is, and I mean, Greninja has been relevant, dude, like every season besides like the last two. Just doing the additional 20 damage is just pretty fire. Like, I don't know what exactly is going to be playing Greninja. I don't think it's going to be like one of those cards that is slotted into every deck, obviously, because it is a stage 2 still, and then you got to play the rare candies, so that it is still a 6-card commitment. I mean, I know like Arceus has Crobat, but you could like theoretically play Greninja if you want to, I guess, also in the deck to open up the Cyrus possibilities, which could be a good option, especially if a lot of people are just like setting up these like stage 2s on the bench. But I think Greninja just needs to find a home, bro. It just needs to find a home. I mean, it's always been a very strong card. I mean, dude, like think about like back in the day we had like Executor Greninja, not like the greatest deck, dude, like in Genetic Apex, but then obviously we had the Gyarados, dude, Mythical Island. Then we had Darkrai Greninja, which was one of my favorite decks from Space Time. Not only that, but like 2 energy for 60 damage. Obviously, some people might not be playing in water, so you might not be able to attack, but like just the ability, dude, and basically having a red every single turn, bro, is just very strong. Next up we have Electros, bro. I love you. 3 energy, bro, too much. Like, I guess you could like theoretically play like Pachirisu to get a more consistent, like get the energy on it, but like it's still not just good at the end of the day. Kind of like same thing for this Alakazam. Like, you know, it's high energy, but it is a consistency buff. It is a consistency buff, and I mean the Alakazam is strong. The only problem with the Alakazam is it kind of just got replaced by Alolan Raichu. But I still think Alakazam. I keeps messing up the name, but I think Alakazam is still such a strong card that I'll just put it a tier above these other ones just because I do think it deserves that credit. Next up we have this Gengar, dude. I mean, the Gengar 1 energy for 50 damage to lock your opponent out. If you do go first, you can start locking your opponent out of Professor Researchers and stuff, which could be very strong. The problem with this Gengar is it only does 50 damage, which is not too much. So it is going to take like 2, 3, 4 attacks depending on what your opponent does have, and if they have like stuff like potions or like a giant cape. But I think simply just being able to lock your opponent out of cards like Professor Researches to draw cards, especially in this meta, like we kind of want the Professor Researches to find the rare candy. So if this format is heavily dominated by stage 2 decks, going first and getting Gengar on your second turn, dude, and attacking is just sounds pretty good to me, dude. To stop the Professor Researches, like I've said like 20 times, I feel like already. Opponent can't find the evolutions, then you Gengar, you keep attacking, bro, and then you probably set up something else in the back, like you know, you're a psychic, so you could like, you know, attack with Gengar, like charge up a Mewtwo EX in the back, maybe like charge up a Giratina. Like obviously you're not going to be using the Giratina's ability, but like Giratina is like, you can still put the psychic energy on it if you're playing a psychic deck. So I feel like it's just a pretty solid card, bro. Like I don't know if it's going to be super meta. Like it could possibly be a sleeper, but like I just don't think it has the damage like Beedrill. Like it has a better like ability on the attack than Beedrill, but like the higher damage from Beedrill might just be make it like that, like 1 tier ahead. But like I said, bro, I think it could possibly go to possible sleepers. We just got to see what the meta is. Next up we have Gengar EX. So I think it's higher energy, bro. It is technically a consistency buff, and I'll give it the benefit of the doubt than the things below, because it has the ability to lock your opponent out. So like you could theoretically go second, evolve this, and like you won't be attacking because you only have 2 energy by the time you use your candy on it, but like you can attack next turn. Like 100 damage isn't a lot for an EX. That's what the nice thing about the Gengars, because like you could like maybe like technically go into like the 2 regular Gengars before like you send out like the Mewtwo EX or something, compared to like Gengar EX where they didn't knock you out, dude. They just get 2 points. So a little bit too high energy, not the most damage. Nice ability though. That's what I'll give it. So the next one is actually Gardevoir, and maybe this is just cope on my end, but I think Gardevoir is a possible sleeper because I mean we've seen how strong Mewtwo Gardevoir was back in Genetic Apex, and with the introduction of Lunala EX, kind of has a similar ability. But like I don't know what's stronger, bro. Like are people going to be playing, like people really wanted to play like someone like Mewtwo, Giratina, Lunala? You also could just play Mewtwo, Giratina, Gardevoir. Like Lunala has like the unique thing, like if you had like a Giratina and like you kind of like want to swap it off like a leaf or something, and then put in like a second Giratina and like charge that fully up, you can do that, where obviously Gardevoir can only put the one energy. But I'm just like thinking like attacking like Mewtwo twice. Like I really need to Lunala EX just attack with Mewtwo twice, like back to back. And I feel like I could just land Gardevoir. So the weakness of Gardevoir with Lunala is, I mean, you're doing a weaker attack, only 60 damage for 3, which you know is really only 2 because it's ability. But then you have like less HP. So like if you get like Sabrina in, you can't use it as like a Sabrina target, because like, I mean, most things probably will just one shot it in the meta. Where like Lunala at least does 100 damage and is tankier. But like I don't know. I think it's like if people really wanted to play Lunala, like the new Lunala, bro, oh my god, I feel like you could just play Gardevoir instead, possibly. Or maybe there's a new psychic type that just takes advantage. Like I don't know, dude. Like I just feel like this possibility Mewtwo EX Gardevoir could return. I don't know how strong it's going to be, but I feel like it could be like a solid, maybe like low tier, mid tier option, because like all it does is just increase the consistency of the deck. And if you really think about it, dude, with Rare Candy, Mewtwo, Gardevoir, you have mythical slabs still, bro. You could just like probably fully commit to the old Mewtwo deck, like literally, bro. So you play 2 Mewtwo's, you could play like 2 Ralts, 1 Kirlia, 2 Gardevoirs, you could play a Pokecom, you have the mythical slabs. I just simply think, dude, the deck could be super consistent, bro, and you probably can get the combo out like pretty often, like when you play, like if almost not guaranteed, unless you just like super like, unless you're just like not super unlucky. But yeah, there's just something I wanted to mention. Next up we have the Machamp. So just too high of energy. I think it's just I still think Machamp's pretty bad. Like maybe if there's like a fighting ramp up card, you could justify it, but I just don't see it, bro. I'm gonna put it in bad. I don't believe. Golem has seen meta. Like I still high energy, but at least it's like good. At least it is good, and you do have Brock, I guess. So you can start, yeah, like I guess it's like Rare Candy, like get Golem online by like turn 1 in your bench. You can't start using those Brocks like back to back to start setting it up. So I guess like in that situation, like I'll put it pretty decent. I think it's over Machamp. I definitely think it's over Machamp. Next up we have Kabutops. 50 energy for 1, or 1 energy for 50 damage, and you do hold the 50 damage. I think it's pretty solid, bro. I don't know if it's gonna be super. I don't know if it's gonna be super meta, because like 50 damage like sound kind of like similar to Gengar, not a lot, but like Kabutops getting a Lucario setup, 70 damage you're healing. It's a non-EX, so like a lot of these EX Pokemon won't be able to one-shot you depending on what is meta. Like I'm just like talking about, you know, the meta right now. And it's weak to grass, so not psychic, so something like Giratina cannot one-shot you. Yeah, I think it's solid, bro. I think it's solid. The only reason it's in just not meta is because like I don't know if you're gonna be playing this over Rampardos. Maybe you play both Kabutops and Rampardos, in whichever one you draw with the fossil you use the Rare Candy on. But like Rampardos is like one-shotting things, where like Kabutops isn't. It just has like the sustainability, which could be useful, could not be useful. We just got kind of like what to see with the meta. It could go 1 tier higher, similar to Gengar, but like I'm not the biggest believer in it, but like I definitely think it can. Next up we have the Nidos, and simply just too much energy, and they're just simply garbage. I'm not gonna waste my time, because like you gotta like use the Rare Candy, but like Nidoking wants like 2 Nidoking set up, and you only have access to 2 Rare Candies, so like you're gonna have to like still draw into like 2 Nidoking evolutions, plus it's just too much setup. Like it's still 2 stage 2s in the deck, where unlike Spiggarito, at least Spiggarito like searches all the grass types, and I mean Spiggarito is just a strong card. Next up we have Dragonite. So Dragonite is simply just high energy but low consistency buff. Like you could still set it up in the back with like something like Dragonite Giratina, which would be good for Dragonite, but like I just don't see Dragonite getting a lot of play. I simply just think Wugtrio was better, where I'm gonna be 100% honest. But like I said, nice consistency buff for a boy Dragonite. Still love him. I just don't think he's gonna be super impactful for him, like I said personally, because like you need the Rare Candy, you need the Dragonite. I mean, you have a lot of turns to be able to draw, so I guess that's a nice thing. But yeah, it's just not gonna be super strong, I don't think. Looking at these next 2 cards, I kind of want to make like I want to make 1 more tier, so I'll do this, and then I'll like change the color, I guess, to like, I don't know, dude. I think this one's already being used. Maybe no, it's not. Possible sleepers, and I want to say like good utility, but like might not have a home. Not strong enough. So what I mean by this is like utility that's like pretty solid on paper, but like actual in games, like is it going to be super strong, is it going to be super impactful, is it going to actually win you those games? And we have Pidgeot. So obviously it is a free Sabrina, and it is only 2 energy for 70 damage. I just don't know if you're really going to be slotting in this over something like Greninja, where Greninja will get you the guaranteed damage, because like Pidgeot, you can't guarantee what you're bringing. Your opponent can't give you something you can't one shot. Definitely can't be disruption, but maybe it might be a strong card. But let's see, I don't know, dude. Like I personally just don't think people are actually gonna run the Pidgeot, bro. I don't think people really are. I just like I'm being honest. Like I don't think it's bad. I just don't think people are gonna use it. I don't think it's as good as Greninja, because like I feel like Greninja plus Cyrus is just better than Pidgeot, dude. As simple as that. I think that's just literally where I'm gonna end it. Cyrus plus Greninja, I just feel like it's stronger than Pidgeot. That's it. Then we have Superior. So Superior is definitely better. It's just like I don't know if Superior Celebi is strong anymore. With the introduction of Red, Celebi just really does get one shot, so you're like, you need like 2 Celebis. You also need to get the Superior online pretty fast if you are playing a pair Superior Celebi deck. I don't know, like you also, it's 2 energy for 70 damage, obviously, which is nice. I just don't simply know, because like you would like to play this with Venusaur, but like that's 2 stage 2s, and then you need 2 rare. It's just that's not gonna happen. And then like the only real other option in my mind is Celebi, and I just feel like Celebi is in a weird spot right now, where like Celebi is obviously still a super strong card. It's just Celebi gets one shot so often. But also that also could change on the meta, dude. Like if the meta is these Beedrills and these, like obviously Masquerada is one shot, but like if the meta is more slower, Celebi could thrive, because it can get more energy. It can actually live a hit depending on what the meta is. But I think just like in terms of as of now, I think Superior is super strong. I'll just put it with Pidgeot, I guess, you know, because it is utility. I just don't think it's strong enough. I simply don't. Also, no, it's not that Superior isn't strong enough. I just don't think it has like the perfect match. Maybe a grass type, dude. Maybe a grass type comes out in the new set that is perfect for it. But as of now, I just don't think the pair Superior Celebi deck is going to be strong enough just with the addition of Rare Candy. Next up we have this like Florges. I think it's fine, bro. I mean, 2 energy for like, I think that's 80, right? Let me just double check. Yeah, 2 damage for, or 2 energy for 80 damage. Like I said, bro, if going second, it is super strong. Going first might not be. Healing 20, nice. I mean, it's just all right. I just don't know if it's gonna be super meta. That's as simple as that. So this other Golem, I'll just give it to this other one. I mean, they're same thing. It's literally the same thing. High energy makes the deck more consistent, which is cool. You can't start using Brock earlier. We have Scolipede. I should just have like a, I just don't, you know, I'm gonna put it, I don't think Scolipede is as bad as these cards, but it has a similar problem to Clodsire, where like getting the poison is just not easy. The main way to get the poison on Scolipede is actually attacking with its stage 1. So I simply just don't think Rare Candy like super buffs this card. If there's a better way to poison, I mean, we do have Grafaiai, but I just feel like overall Clodsire is just stronger. Like as simple as that, bruh. Clodsire more HP. Wooper does poison for its first obviously evolution, and simple as that. So we have Pidgeot EX, bro. You know, I'm gonna put a good instead of good utility. I'm just gonna put good, but may not be strong enough. I think Pidgeot EX is pretty solid. Obviously it's 3 energy still, but like depending on what the it's just decent, bro. Like because it is colorless, you can use ramp up cards such as like Manaphy and stuff. Just increasing the consistency is pretty strong. It kind of like depends, dude. Kind of like depends. I'm not really too sure about it. I definitely think it's definitely stronger. I don't think it's anything crazy. I don't think it's gonna be anywhere close to like top 10. I just simply think it's a good card, and it got consistency. Actually, I'll put it 1 below. I'll put it 1 below, bro. I'll put it 1 below. I think it's very strong. I mean, it's definitely over a lot of these cards, probably. Maybe not over the Gengar. I'm not really ordering these, by the way, from like left to right. I think it's strong because, you know, if you can't get it set up, and it does make the deck more consistent. But overall, like Pidgeot EX has not been like strong, bro. I really at all, bro. I'm gonna be honest. It was played a little bit of Mythical Island for like a little bit, and then everyone just went back to Gyarados, Mewtwo, Pika, and the Charizards, and as simple as that, bro. Okay, so I'm gonna switch this Butterfree to bad but not unplayable. And that is simply because I want to put this Blossom. I don't think it's super garbage because it is 2 for 80. That is pretty solid. I just don't know what you, like, I don't know why you would play this. I simply don't know why you would play this over something like Beedrill. As simple as that. Next up we have Torterra. Same thing with Venusaur, you have Leafeon that can charge it up. Obviously the downside can't attack with Torterra back to back, so that's just stupid, bro. It makes no sense. But theoretically makes the deck more consistent. Torterra does pack a punch, and it is pretty tanky. It does live a hit, so it has something going for it rather than these other ones, just because literally Leafeon exists, and that's about it. Next up we have Infernape. So Infernape is a very similar situation to these other cards, and I'm putting it at very strong. The reason I am not putting Infernape in the top of the top, you do discard the energy, so you are going to take 2 turns after attack. Is like, theoretically, dude, maybe you play Moltres with Infernape, so you can do like the Dawn plays, or maybe like Giratina or something. But like, I'm thinking if you lead with Infernape or going second, or even first, you attack Infernape and then you spend the next 2 turns because you attacked Infernape right away, charging it back up, and it will probably just die by then. So I think it is very strong, but because it discards energy, I'm going to put it 1 below the individual Masquerade and Charizard. And that is just simply as that, dude. I think it's very strong. I think it definitely gets a huge buff by Rare Candy, but I think the factor alone that you attack once and then you're kind of just like a sitting duck for a little bit is the reason I'm not going to put it as super strong. You know what? Now that I'm looking at this, bro, I'm going to move this Charizard down. I'm going to move this Blastoise down, the possible sleepers, just because I think that's where they are. I don't think they need to be in the super strong, like the second top of the list. I just think Infernape is very strong, dude, but like I said, sitting duck after your attack, depending on like what the situation is looking like. Next up we have Man of Swine, the only card that can live an attack with Charizard without using the addition of blue, obviously with a giant cape, and it's just still pretty bad. It's never really been good. Empoleon, bro, is actually a very strong card. His 3 energy is a little bit too much, so you're gonna need like mana free Dawn plays. But I mean, if you can, bro, it can definitely be a good card. Like 80 and then attacking the bench and then opens up Cyrus. It's pretty decent, bro. I played around Napoleon a lot, especially in space time, and Becky's extremely fun to poke, bro. Extremely fun. Next up we have Magnezone, and a lot of people were saying Magnezone is just completely garbage with the Rare Candy, and I don't agree with that, because if you are playing a pure electric deck and like you don't find the Magnetons but you have like a Rare Candy because like maybe you're playing something else, I don't think you're like, I don't know, I don't really know if you're playing Rare Candy, but like you could theoretically like set up Magneton with like 3 energy and attack, and I just feel like that's decent. I just don't think it's as bad as these other ones. I don't think anyone's really gonna do it. You possibly can. Same thing with Luxray. I don't think it's very strong. Dude, maybe I think Luxray is pretty bad. I'm gonna be actually, bro, maybe I should just, maybe I might have to change this. Hold up, bro, I might just change this tier list. Or I might just move this one up. I might just simply move this one up. I remember I should just combine them, because in my mind these cards are like, I'm thinking like Empoleon and Luxray are better than these 2 cards. Okay, you know what, bro? We're just gonna delete this. We're just gonna put these in pretty bad. We're gonna put them in simply pretty bad. I'm just gonna change this to not the worst. Not the worst. Not the worst. That's simply what I'm gonna do, because that was kind of bothering me. So thing about Luxray is you do have access to Volkner. I still don't think it's gonna be the craziest thing, but like you have the access, it does increase the consistency, so I don't think it's like bad, because Luxray does have a strong attack to be able to do a lot of bench sniping. At the same time, it's just like a lot of setup, and I don't really know if the Rare Candy necessarily makes the deck like super much stronger. I think it's a good card, but like I don't think Rare Candy's gonna do much to it. I'm gonna be honest. Like I'm just gonna be honest. So Togekiss I think is a lot better, dude. I mean, being able to do 120 damage. If you guys think of Togekiss, bro, and you have Cynthia, bro, this card is gonna be broken. I'm gonna be honest, bro. But obviously you need the Cynthia. Going second, dude, 60 damage. Next turn you're gonna do 120, possibly 170 with Cynthia. Crazy. The problem is you obviously you need a lot. You do have to attack, and then you have to have the Cynthia. So if you have all those cards, bro, extremely gonna be strong. If you don't, it's just gonna be a solid 122 energy damage card, similar to like the new Solgaleo. Solgaleo, however you pronounce his name. It's just a very solid consistency buff, dude, and it's like just one of those 2 energy cards that are just gonna be super good if you go second. Next up we have Dusknoir, which I think is good but may not be strong enough. I know a lot of people really like Dusknoir, but the only problem I have with Dusknoir is like, are you really gonna be wanting to play it? Because like if you start with the like if you basically just probably don't ever want to start with one of the pre-evolutions in the active spot. I don't really know what they are. I don't know how much retreat cost they have. I guess I can't look up that real quick actually. So let's see, let's find Dusknoir. You know what? I guess it is one retreat cost, not the worst. I just feel like you definitely don't want to start with the active. And like I said, bro, like, are you really gonna be slotting this into a deck? Like, obviously, for me, like for a fun deck wise, gotta be cool. But I'm talking like the meta of the meta. And I don't think people are gonna be wasting 6 slots just to add a deck score. But maybe they could. Maybe they could. But I just don't think it's gonna be super played. I'm gonna be that's as simple as that. I think the ability is strong, being able to take away the damage. But a lot of times, where I've said a lot of things just get 1-shot or 2-shot in this meta. So if we're in a meta where everything's getting 1-shot, Dusknoir is not that good. If we're in a meta where like everything's getting 2-shot, Dusknoir being able to take all the damage and let your Pokemon live one more hit, honestly, pretty solid, dude. Kind of just depends what the meta is. So for now, I'm going to put it at in this, like, may not be strong enough, but there is a possibility, bro. It can go 1 slot higher into like a possible sleeper. Next up we have Raperior, bro. I don't care, it's bad. Rampardos. So according to the TCG official rule set, Rare Candy does work on fossils, and going first, having a Rampardos on your turn 2 sounds like probably the scariest thing I've ever heard in my life, and I'm not looking forward to fighting this deck. So I mean, dude, if you go first, you have the obviously the downside of Rampardos, you need the fossil, you're gonna need the Rare Candy, and then obviously you're gonna need the Rampardos. So that is going to be 3 cards you do need, and 2 of those are not searchable. 2 of those are not searchable. What is the benefit? You play Shadow and you pray to get the fossil, you play to get the Rare Candies. Turn 1 Rampardos is literally going to be broken if you have the God combo. Obviously, the downside is you would have to use like an X speed or something, because you will have something else in the active spot. But even going second, bro, I'm getting Rampardos on your second turn, bro. Like, it's one-shotting most things. Let's just be real. It's gonna be one-shotting most things at that time, depending on what the meta is, if not 2-shotting. And by the time your opponent maybe gets something up, like, I'm just thinking about like Rampardos right away against Giratina Darkrai. What are they gonna do to you? Unless they have Darkrai in the back and they're sacking Giratina, they are not gonna be able to do a single thing. And maybe you set up another Rampardos, bro, in that time. So it's just like, I don't know, dude. It's just, Rampardos is already strong. Just making the deck even more consistent is just scary. Obviously, it is very luck based though, because you need like 2 unsearchable cards. But like, just the fact that there's a possibility of that is just scary to me. I think it's one of the biggest winners. Next up we have Gallade, bro. Similar. I think Gallade's a big winner. I mean, it's one of those 2 energy EX Pokemon. I mean, it's very tanky. Obviously, it's kind of weird for Gallade, because like Gallade, you want everything like later in the game to have a lot of energy. But at the same time, like, still doing 70 damage, 170 HP is still nice. Especially if they are setting up something in the active, you probably will be able to like start doing a lot of damage to 2-shot something. And if they don't have something in the active they're setting up, they're probably getting 2-tapped anyways, because you're doing 140 damage, possibly 160 if you have a red. It's just one of those 2 energy EX Pokemon that are just going to do strong. Obviously, increase the consistency. You could play like 2 Rare Candies, 1 Ralts, or 1 Curlier, I mean. Increase Pokecom odds and stuff like that. We have Bastiodon, not the worst. Does increase the consistency. And Bastiodon, I mean, if you can get it set up and you land the heads, is pretty nice. We have Garchomp, which is definitely better. The downside of Garchomp, because it's 2 energy, bro, like, if it was just a single energy on Garchomp, or if there was a way to manipulate energy, I think this Garchomp would honestly be, bro, and strong. But dude, I mean, if you go second, you get water and fighting back to back. If you go second, fighting water back to back, bro, biggest winners. Obviously, it's not the case. I'm actually gonna put it in good, bro. I'm actually gonna put it 1 ahead, because at least you have the ability to cycle through the deck, which is gonna be strong, and fight the other stuff. Plus, you're playing like fighting and water cards, which have great utility. Like, you low key might be able to play a Garchomp Greninja deck, because you have Rare Candy. There is actually a possibility, because you could just play, you only play 10 Pokemon. And if you can get Garchomp set up early, I mean, you can cycle find the evolutions for Greninja with the Rare Candies pretty fast. So, or if you can set up 2 Garchomps, because you'll be able to cycle through the deck and find the Rare Candies and the evolutions pretty fast. So it's just like a lot of things going for Garchomp. I think it's like pretty strong. The only bad thing obviously is the dual energy, so you have to just get lucky. Porygon Z, not the worst. 3 energy, bro, a little bit awkward. Same thing with the Staraptor. I believe this is this the one that does more damage? No, this is not the one. This is the one that I think that's like takes less damage from fighting types. Yeah, this thing's just bad. Gengar, 2 energy for sleep, not bad, definitely better. just whatever. Tyranitar is bad. So the thing about the Gengar is like you sleep and you do 70 damage. It's pretty nice. Obviously, you know, Pokemon Destroy, and you have to actually land the sleep. So if you have all those things going for you, pretty good. But if not, like you could maybe like play a deck by like one of this Gengar or one of this Gengar, or whichever one you draw you go into. But that's just solid, bro. I mean, 70 damage, 200, bro, and then the possibility of sleep is just a nice addition. So this, okay, so Garchomp EX is our next option. I want to be real, bro. Possible sleeper, and literally the only reason I'm saying this is because it's 1 energy for a snipe. If Gyarados is still meta relevant, bro, best believe my Garchomp EX is blowing up that Magikarp. Blowing it straight up, bro, and there's going to be no pieces, no remains of that Magikarp. He is gone. I do not care if you put a giant cape on, you are going to the banishing zone. Yeah, but basically I think the thing that carries Garchomp EX is literally the ability to attack for 50 and 1. Obviously 3 for 100 is not the best, but I mean, if you do have the rare candy combo right away and you do evolve into it, doing 50 and then eventually doing 100 is just pretty solid, dude, because it does open up the access to Cyrus, so you can get something weak that might be super important for your opponent. Cyrus it back in. I don't know if it's actually going to be played, but in my mind, like they're rising, I think Garchomp EX has the potential. It kind of just depends how strong the other decks are going to be in the meta. Next up we have Crobat. So we have Crobat. I feel like a very similar situation to Greninja. I just don't know how strong RC is still going to be in this meta. It's as simple as that, because if it's a lot of stage 2s, Arceus won't be able to get that one shot, which I'm gonna be real, Arceus kind of wants to get that one shot. Obviously with Crobat it does help. 30 damage to the active, so Arceus is going to be doing 160 damage, assuming you have like a full bench. I mean, that's nice. With the addition of red, actually you can one-shot stuff, but obviously a lot of things have to go right. You have to have the red, you have to have the Crobat, you have to have the rare candy to go into the Crobat, or you just have to draw the evolutions and you have to like charge Arceus up. So I don't think it's going to be low-key, I think it's better. I think it's better than all these cards. Almost to the point where I'm actually about to put it in strong. I'm not gonna lie, bro. Now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, RC's doing 160 damage more consistently, bro. Actually, kind of pretty good. Kind of sounds pretty fire. I'm not gonna lie. And then obviously 180 with the addition of red. No, actually, yeah, that kind of sounds scary. That sounds pretty scary. Obviously, like I said, a lot of things have to go right. You also could theoretically play Dark RC as Crobat, bro, like the way we were playing it. So that is something, bro. That is something to think about. I don't think you probably would play the Darker just because there's gonna be too much like slots. But yeah, I simply think it actually can be pretty strong, bro. I think it's literally only gonna be obviously it only can be played in RCS. Because like you know, like attacking for 50 for 1 energy is like nice on it. So like if you have the rare candy, Brian, like if you don't get the Arceus, or if the Crobat's just in the active spot, I mean, doing 50 damage, and if you have the Arceus, 80 is actually pretty strong, bro. No, yeah, this card might be cooking actually now the more I'm thinking about it, bro. This is definitely gonna be a card to look out for. Like I don't know if it's gonna be meta, but I feel like people are gonna play it here and there, so definitely watch out for it. Okay, we can speech run into some of these. We have Magnezone. This thing's garbage, bro. It literally does not get played because of the electric one. We have Staraptor, which is pretty nice. You know, it's early damage, but 3 energy, bro. So it's not the worst. Definitely just consistency. But we have this Palmon, bro. Like I'm gonna be. It's not the worst because it's 2 energy, bro. But I'm not gonna say it's good. I'm not gonna say it's good. I'm not gonna act like it is. We have other Machamp. It's not the worst. It's not the worst, bro. But like, it's not. No, it's garbage, bro. I'm gonna be real. It's garbage. We have Stoke Charizard. I'm gonna be real, bro. I'm gonna put it on good, but might not be strong enough. And I'm not a believer. I'm not a believer in the Stoke Charizard because like you do waste a turn stoking, so it's gonna take you 3 turns because it's gonna take you the first turn, nice turn. Let's just say you have the rare candy Charizard. But what if you don't get the rare candy Charizard on the first couple turns and your opponent sets up something that's gonna do heavy damage to it? I just don't think that's good. I just don't like. It's one of those cards where like Charizard EX, you're not putting Charizard EX right away. You just still have it in the back. It just makes the deck more consistent. Where Stoke Charizard, you're going to want to see this by the first turn. Like, let's just be real. You want it out as fast as possible. And you're putting it in the active spot, so it's sustainable damage. I don't think it's going to be good. I don't think it's going to be played over the other Charizard, bruh. Because even if you don't take damage, it only does 150. You might not even be one-shotting things, dude. Because especially if we are in a stage 2 meta, like you can do 170 of red, bro, but that still might not be strong enough with giant capes existing. I'm not a believer, bro, but I think it definitely can still be good if you do go first against certain decks. So I will put it in strong, but might not be strong enough. Next up we have this other Alakazam, which is just simply all right. You know, I mean, it does do energy to the bench and does 80 damage, I believe, possibly 60, but I can't remember the number. It's just decent. Gigaton. 3 energy, bro. It's not the worst. Not the worst. Lunala EX, I'm not going to rank, obviously, but I'm gonna put good, but not. I'm gonna put good as of now. Obviously, we have no clue what the other cards in the set are, and they just included these cards as well, just Lunala and Solgaleo. As of now, I don't think Lunala is strong. It's not. I don't think it's anything broken. I think it's simply a good card that could see use, but I don't think it's gonna be anything meta defining. As of now, it can change. 100% can change once we do actually play around with the deck, but just in my head, I don't think it's gonna be. But like I said, it can't change. And then Solgaleo, where I think Solgaleo is broken. I think 122 damage. Obviously, you do damage yourself, but you also can swap in for free if you are staying this thing up on the bench. I think that is super strong. I think that's one of the best abilities in the game. And yeah, so this is my tier list. Like I said, bro, I think these cards, I think the biggest winners and then the strongest cards are the best cards for a rare candy. Then I think possible sleepers are cards you might see here and there. And then I think these other ones are like very good with the rare candy, but I just don't think they're like anything, bro. Like, there's kind of like those cards you were definitely going to see, bro, in casuals and possibly competitive. I just don't see. Lunala could probably go like one higher, bro, I'm gonna be honest. And then we have like these cards, which are going to be cool. Definitely just cool additions with rare candy. They're just nothing crazy. And then we have like rare candy helps you, but like not really. Like it makes you consistency better, but like at the end of the day, you are still a like 3 energy to 4 energy card. And then we just have all these stage 2s, which I just don't think are pretty good. I honestly just don't believe in any of these. Like Butterfree, like you could like technically probably switch up and like you because you're like 2 energy for 80, like 2 energy for 80, but like I just don't see it. I just don't see it, bro. I guess yeah, I honestly, bro, okay, so like I said, these are just my thoughts and opinions, obviously, before the set is out. Once the set comes up, this list could be straight just wrong. Obviously, this is for more of the competitive side of the game. Obviously, this is for more of the competitive slash like rank slash tournament side of the game is what I'm kind of like basing this off. Casuals, I think all these cards are going to be amazing in casual, bro. You definitely build a lot of fun decks, bro, and I'm very excited for it. And I'm just excited for the rare candy, but I'm going to be honest, I've been asking for this card for like 2 seasons. Anyways, I am back on the daily upload grind. Like, super excited for the next set, bro. We are going to hit 1,000. That is the goal. Anyways, peace out. Have a lovely day. And let's just say, bro, we are so back.